What's up, VC? Happy Thanksgiving if you celebrate. Recording this the day before, but effectively here it is Thanksgiving. And I really wanted to get to really compile what I've been working on for the last 2 years, really upgrading to the best possible condition and earliest possible pressings for my two favorite Takoma artists and two of my favorite artists, John Fahey and Robbie Basho. And obviously these are two big artists I've discussed and covered in the past. I have videos that I really dive deep into their discography and their career, showing all the records that I'll link to. I've done those years ago now. And at some point, within the last 2 years, I just decided I really wanted to go down a real upgrade path with some of these records, since some of the pressings I didn't have the earliest version, and just the condition on some. The Takoma label can be a little hard to collect. Well, actually that's not true. It can be easy to collect, but hard to find in nice condition. So I have a lot of upgrades and a lot of duplicates, which I will probably be selling if anyone's interested. We're listening to disc 2. I'll start with this box set of this, released in the late 90s on the Table of the Elements. Oh wait, yeah, it is Table of the Elements, a label that does mostly CDs, but did do some vinyl pressings. Young Person's Guide to John Fahey, Sea Changes and Coalescence. Now this is a 3LP box set, and it's significant. Well, some of it's been released in different forms, but one of them, this is released in 2006, must have been the first edition of the box. I think the CD edition came earlier, I could be wrong, maybe it came out then, but I forget off the top of my head. We're listening to side 2, or LP 2 of the 3LP set, which was released as Georgia Stomp's Atlanta Struts and Other Contemporary Dance Favorites, with this booklet. And there's many booklet upgrades, which is nice. But this is significant, and I'll play some of this. So what I'm playing right now was released as an individual release, which I have. LPs, gotta get my facts straight here. Hold on. Yeah, LP 4 was originally issued as Hard Time Empty Bottle Blues. I believe that was CD only. And LP 1 is the most significant in a way, because that was definitely issued as CD only, and that was known as Womb Life, issued as CD Table of the Elements in 1997. Correction, Hard Time Empty Bottle Blues was an LP too, so this is worth getting, first of all, if you don't have those records, but also for Womb Life. I'll insert the CD edition of what that looks like, but this is the only way to get that on vinyl. So it's a 3LP set, pretty affordable when I found this for about $40. So we'll hear some of Womb Life later. As I said, right now we're hearing him recorded live, by the way, at the Horizon Theater in Atlanta, August 1997. Again, this is Georgia Stomp's Atlanta Struts and Other Contemporary Dance Favorites. But Jim O'Rourke is involved on some of this. He recorded the Womb Life, which we'll hear in a little while. So again, one I wanted to find and track down, and this I got earlier this year. So let's get into more Fahey upgrades. Now some of this stuff is condition upgrades, some of it's earliest label upgrades, as I said. Some of it is the earlier edition of something that was compiled later, and that's the story of this. This is a 78 little booklet. You know, when you've gone through 78 collections, you know that a lot of the old 78s come in these type of sleeves. Well, this was recorded at John Fahey's hotel room this was released in 1996, when Fahey was still alive, just on the Perfect label, which there's not much story behind this, but there is some information on the Discogs entry. A guy named Scott Colburn got in touch with Fahey and went out to Eugene, where Fahey sort of lived the last few years of his life, and recorded Fahey in person. He got his number from Byron Coley, of course, a feeding tube and journalist and artist who was very much one of John Fahey's close associates. During this time, Fahey was really happy to experiment and record and make noise and still have his guitar style, but it's always done amongst sort of his own sort of ideas of what the avant-garde was at the time. He was really up for trying things. And that's apparently what this was. This is originally just, it's 2 records. Now there's no real, I thought there would be some sort of liner notes or something in here, some sort of insert. There's really not. It's completely unlabeled. It's on this Perfect label, which is a label originally from 1922 with many releases on it. So this guy Scott Colburn just repurposed this, I guess. But this was done with Fahey's cooperation, of course. This guy Scott Colburn got in touch with a guy named Dean Blackwood, and he was in touch with Byron Coley, and essentially he was able to connect him with Fahey, who we didn't really even know, but he wanted to record somebody, you know, who was doing interesting folk music at the time. So he drove down to Eugene and just used some basic mic setups and recorded these 4 songs, 4 sides, and released it in '78. This has gotten to be quite expensive. I don't know how many they made, but I sort of made like a crazy lowball offer on this, and I got it. Now I don't my turntable that has 78s that plays 78s is not currently set up, so I played this only once, but it's a cool piece to have. But it was later compiled on this, which came out last year. So the tracks on this are Morning Part 1 and 2 and Evening, Not Night Parts 1 and 2. Those are the tracks on the 78s, and they are compiled here on this Drag City release, which I think I showed last year. This is called Proofs and Refutations, includes those songs, plus a few other things that were sort of odds and ends that were recorded in the 90s. So an interesting piece, and cool to have those 78s. Sorry if that story was a little confusing, but I think there's only a few hundred of the 78 set. There's 2, like I said, 2 78s. Next, let's talk about Volume 1, Blind Joe Death. This is my original that I've had for many years now. I showed this in my first video. This is not actually the first edition. This is the earliest press that's somewhat easy to get with the booklet. And the very first has a different font and it's a private press. Apparently there's only a few hundred of those, but these are the labels I primarily collect. These black, shiny Takoma labels. It would come in a matte black label next. It would come in the orange Takoma label. It would then come in that gold and black label that had the Takoma logo on it. That's the most common. But this is in a really nice condition. Anyway, I've had this, so I didn't upgrade this exactly. But for Volume 1, that's a grail, by the way. Only a few people have it. The original private press of this. I know Dr. Demento has a copy. But this is still hard to get, the very first Volume 1. Earliest sort of wide release anyway, not that wide even, but that private press, and there's a private press of Volume 2 as well, both grails. But I originally was able to, I upgraded the artwork. Now there's 4 different sleeves that were done for Volumes 1 and 2, and then 3 different sleeves for Volume 3. After you had that standard white one, you have this psychedelic cover. Now there's Volume 1, 2, and 3 that have these psych sleeves, same black labels. Now it gets confusing. So when he released this in this sleeve, I guess he was trying, this is really, I only saw this pop up once in a decent condition, and I snagged it a few months ago. It does have a top split, but the sleeve still presents quite nice. Anyway, some of the tracks were re-recorded, and this one, confusingly, is the same track list, but there's another version with this art sleeve that has a bonus track that's not on either of the first versions. So I have to technically upgrade that still, but I had really been looking to find this for a decent price and decent shape. There are a few copies of it, they're not worth getting, so that is the next art sleeve for Volume 1. I've had this for many years. I'll show this. This is what you most commonly see, and this comes in early black label pressing, which I don't have. This is the standard Takoma labels you see most of the time. But Volumes 1, 2, and 3 have these skeletons. I know everyone's probably seen these. That's technically the 3rd sleeve. And this I just got, which is the UK pressing on Sonnet. I wanted to get these sleeves. They're not expensive. I was able to get from one seller. Here it is, volume. Look at how beautiful, completely different sleeve on the Sonnet label. This is UK. They're not expensive. I just had to get them from abroad, but they were about $15. Beautiful shape, and they sound good. They probably sound better than Takoma pressings, which are not known for their, you know, not known to be audiophile in any way. They sound fine and good. I mean, this is lo-fi music, really. John Fahey doing what he does. If you don't know John Fahey, welcome. But I love this completely different design, and there's some different text on the back too. So yeah, really cool design on the sleeve. So that I got this year, and from the same seller I was able to get volume 2 in the same theme. UK on Sonnet. Death Chants, Breakdowns, and Military Waltzes, also released as a private press through Takoma with a different label design and impossibly rare. You never see it. There's the Sonnet label. So I'm collecting Fahey, obviously, to this extent where I'm collecting artwork. You know, that's where I'm at. Also, I did upgrade the very first. There's no early private press of volume 3, so I now have 2 copies of this, and I think I have someone who will probably want this and earmarked for them, but this is the cleaner pressing I just got. Again, there are matte black versions, sleeves of this. This is that very first Takoma black label. Usually they have deep grooves, and again, they're like shiny. Those are the first pressings. I bought this, went back and forth with a seller on eBay who had a decent price on it, but just got it down as far as I could. We kept going back and forth with offers. I was just really noting how clean the sleeve was, and they said the record was good too. I put a post-it on this one to denote that's the one that I'm keeping, but I was hoping, because I have booklets on the first 2 volumes of the US pressings. This is all deep and nerdy. I was hoping that this one had the booklet, was not specified, and sometimes with eBay sellers they don't look, and sure enough, it included the booklet. Not specified, so that made this much more desirable. These booklets are insane, kind of not worth reading, but they're cool to have, similar to like what Folkways would do, but John Fahey was doing this. It's full of just all kinds of crazy lore and, you know, history, written by Elijah P. Lovejoy. Fahey is risen. F you wan ocular tapes, go Berkeley, wait for contact. But believing it to be the work of a drunk peasant who had brooded too much over the legend that Fahey was King Arthur and would rise in the east and lead the forces of good to victory, I ignored the note. Just a little excerpt of Variations on the Dance of Death, Takoma C1004, otherwise known as Dance of Death and Other Plantation Favorites. So this is my keeper with the booklet now, and I have a duplicate. Does not have the booklet, but the record is in nice shape, and it is the earliest pressing. You can see the sleeve is a little more worn. So, but that will go to someone's home. Christmas is coming, obviously, so one of the most famous records in Fahey's catalog, if not his most famous, is the Christmas album, Guitar Soul Lee. The New Possibility, right? Now, this is the original. I just upgraded this. I had the standard copy. This is the original in the matte sort of textured sleeve. In decent shape, nice shape. And in the original black label. It's hard to find this one of these black labels. So I just got that for like $15. That was probably a good deal. But it is common. And this is the original standard, or the one I've had for a long time. In the standard black and gold Takoma labels, this will go to somebody. The New Possibility, of course, this is a famous Christmas album. He probably made a lot of money off this, and includes all of Christmas standards. I love his Old Lang Syne. This is probably from the 70s, this pressing. Alright, so now we're listening to that first disc like I told you about on here, Womb Life, which was a Table of the Elements CD and pressed on vinyl for the first time for this box set. Sea Changes and Co-Alliance. So let's listen to that while we continue the Fahey and get into the Basho. So the next things are all his later Takoma, well, not later, but his later 60s period. Some of my favorite records on the label, or from Fahey. I didn't really get to upgrade any of the Vanguard records. I actually have to check those, the Yellow Princess and Requia, to check my conditions. But I actually have 3 copies of Days Gone By. Here's my keeper first. Now this one, the cool thing, by the way, about Takoma stuff is they typically use the same sleeves. These sleeves are exactly the same. Same cardboard stock and everything. Same catalog number, same layout, but the records change. So what you can do is by later pressing labels, and if the sleeve is nice, you can upgrade your sleeves. So that's a good little tip for you there. Some labels did that, but this is my keeper copy of Volume 6 Days Gone By, maybe my go-to Fahey record for, it's got a little bit of everything. He starts definitely getting weird. A raga called Pat Part 1 and Part 2 is amazing. Again, the black label. This is a pretty clean copy. And most importantly, this stunning booklet that's in this one. Just some amazing artwork, more crazy writings and incantations by Mr. Fahey. And look at that typeset. Look at that. Amazing. So that's my copy. My downgrade is actually the same first pressing and the same label. I think it's just not quite in nice shape. Looks pretty good though. And the sleeve is the same as I said. I gotta make sure I don't mix these up now. And here's the third copy I have. Again, sleeve is the same. It's actually a really nice sleeve. So I might change this out with the first pressing. But here is an example of the matte black labels, if you can see the difference. You can tell on the camera, but it's matte black. Whereas, again, the earlier label is the shiny. Shiny is a different typeset, different layout, different font. So just upgraded that. 3 copies, so I have 2 copies of those to sell. I also have 3 copies of Volume 4 to sell. This is my keeper copy. This is still in the shrink, actually. The originals of this have a Takoma label like that, and the back looks like this. There's like a map on the later pressing, which I think I have here. Again, Volume 4. And this one does have a booklet. They don't all have booklets. The one on Riverboat does, Volume 5, which actually was recorded before 4, but that's another story. That's all in my link below, the first Fahey video I did. Here's just the sleeve, not quite as nice. Now, over the last 2 years, I've bought some of these. Some of these were described to me as better than they were. Some were on point. I was just trying these. I've gotten really good prices on these and really done well with offering. This one's also amazing, Volume 4. So this is the same original sleeve. So yeah, on this one they did change the sleeve. This one I do have, it's just not quite as nice. But that's a downgrade for me, I'll be selling that. And here is, so yeah, the sleeve did change for this one. And if you see the straight up Takoma label on this, you know it's the later sleeve. But here's the map version, which is also part of the later sleeve. And let's see what label this is. This one might also be the first label. Yeah, it is. Also the shiny black. So it's kind of a mess. So I got 3 copies of that. The Great San Bernardino Birthday Party and Other Excursions. The beautiful Fahey record. And I also upgraded this, although I guess I already sold my downgrade. I think I did sell it. The Voice of the Turtle. This comes after Days Gone, or Volume 6 Days Gone By, but still is on that original black matte shiny label. Believe comes in the matte black, and then of course the orange label. Like America, that one is released as the straight orange label. Same with a Fair Forward The Villagers, also in the orange. But this one comes with an attached booklet, and this was the nicer of the sleeves with the attached booklet. So So you can see it's all in nice shape. I think the record I still need to upgrade. So I must have sold this to somebody. I think I did via one of my sales. I sold it a little prematurely. But still mostly in nice shape. Alright, and the last Fahey, well no, I got one more. But here is Georgia Stomp's Atlanta Struts and Other Contemporary Dance Favorites. This is also included on the box set, a 2LP, recorded live in 1997 at the Horizon Theater in Atlanta. So again, this exact same record, obviously not with the sleeve, is in that box that I showed. There. Also, finally, the last Fahey I will show on this update. I finally decided to get this. They never pressed it on vinyl, but I just, the material on here is really not compiled elsewhere, for the most part. There's a few Fahey grails I'm looking for. But this compiles all of the early work with Joe Buzzard and John Fahey, otherwise known as the Phonotone years, many 78s, all pressed privately by Joe Buzzard, the legendary 78 collector from Maryland. Takoma Park, well, to John Fahey. John Fahey, of course, is from Maryland, Takoma Park. Fredericksburg, Maryland, Joe Buzzard. But we have John Fahey, The Past Comes Back to Haunt You. And this is an incredible compilation, all CDs. You probably have seen this. But with some really amazing data and documentation. This is on the Dust to Digital label, and co-sponsored and co-released with Revenant, which was John Fahey's last label he did. Here's all of example of the Phonotone 78 labels. I've never seen any of these Phonotone records. They're pretty rare. And yeah, it still includes the original hype sticker if you care. And yeah, 5 CDs. So this was I got from this the Syndicate, Beautiful World Syndicate, aka Philadelphia Music, one of the biggest discog sellers. They had a copy of this for I think $35, which was a great no-brainer price. I finally decided to get it. I got this over the summer, I think. So, though it's not a record, this is certainly worth showing in this Fahey update. Alright, so yeah, reach out to me if you're interested in any of those Fahey records. I haven't priced anything or anything yet, but that will be to come. So Basho, I have I think 3 or 4 upgrades releases here. I have 3 copies. This one, no, 2 copies. I think I had to send one back already because it was did not match description. But this is the first Basho Sings with the sleeve in really nice shape. Now some of the Basho records did have booklets, including like Seal of the Blue Lotus. Those are very, very rare. I've never seen any of the Basho booklets, so I am looking for those. But again, shiny black Takoma labels in very nice shape. And here's my downgrade. And this one, yeah, is still on those same labels. This still looks pretty good. My downgrades are not bad at all, so anyone who gets these will be happy. But so yeah, this one doesn't have a deep groove. They don't always have deep grooves. So Basho sings. He sings on other records. It's not just this one. But this is what, maybe his 3rd record on Takoma. 4th and 5th are these. 2 copies of this one. This one's still in the shrink. Basho 1, the Falconer's Arm. This is one I know I upgraded the sleeve and changed out the record. It's a really nice sleeve. One of these I had the orange label on. Well, you'll see it. It's Takoma black labels. So that's my keeper. My downgrade is this. You can definitely see not as nice, but decent. And here's one of the orange labels you all probably know. These came about in the late 60s, early 70s. This is Volume 1. Volume 2, I was all ready to buy an upgrade to it, but then I went and checked and I didn't need to. I actually had the very first. But I probably need a nicer sleeve of Volume 2, Falconer's Arm. You don't see these all that often. So this isn't an upgrade really, at all. Yeah, this one I do need to upgrade, but for now this is good. This is a nice copy. Again, black labels. And The last record I'll show is a more recent pressing of outtakes. This is probably not going to stay in the collection. Maybe it will. I guess I found out it's maybe a bootleg. Robbie Basho, Song of Our Fathers, Rarities 67 to 83. Some of this stuff turns up on the Song for the Great. I'll have to pull it. Some of that stuff turns out on this Lost album that was a Vanguard record, unreleased by Basho, Songs of the Great Mystery. So I believe a few of the tracks turn up on this, actually. So I have to do my diligence and look into this a little more. But it's only one release on this label, which is called... the label's only on Discogs. Yeah, there's like no insert or anything, so this might be a sketchy release. But was cheap. It's, Land of Our Fathers. Rarities 67 to 83. He died just a few after that, 86 I believe. Basho, so. Anyway, that's my update for Fahey and Basho, Big Takoma. I hope you dug that. Check out the earlier videos if you're interested. I definitely dive more into their history and who they were. I'll also link to the John Fahey documentary from 2004, which I think has only recently been up for digital purchase, a rental. It's pretty cheap and it's not from Amazon or anything. It's from a smaller company, but I can vouch for the legitimacy of it because I rented it and watched it and it was great. It's only about an hour long. I think there really needs to be a full deep dive into Fahey via documentary at some point. So, and of course the Basho documentary from a couple of years ago. Forgetting the titles on these, but that was beautiful, and that I rented a few years ago too. So I'll link to both of those if you haven't seen them. But that's it. Hope everyone is having a wonderful holiday. If you celebrate, celebrate. If you don't, just celebrate. But thanks everyone. I'll see you soon as we start to close out 2024. Later.